myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thought.
Good morning, welcome to NUFC Wraith, and Thursday morning, joined by Supermac and Gibbo. How are you, lads?
Good, thanks, Steve.
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Another 3 points in the bag, Malcolm. It's becoming a natural now.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say boring there, Steve. I was going to contradict you.
Well, yeah, I thought it was an all-round really good performance. The tackle that saw the fella sent off early in the game, I thought was absolutely horrendous. It's a real leg breaker, and unfortunately, there wasn't too much damage to the left back. What I would hasten to add on it is that I think that the Premier League need to look at things like that. What concerned me firstly was the referee gave a free kick to Brentford.
It was our old pal, Mike Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves us. He loves us.
Oh, well, for heaven's sake, a tackle like that, it's an absolute leg breaker, ligament smasher. And he didn't actually spot it. That really is embarrassing. I feel that the Premier League should go back, look at tackles like that, and look to take further action beyond the sending off and the 3-match suspension, because that was absolutely horrendous. It's the kind of tackle it can finish somebody's career.
I mean, they did try to say on television as well, Malcolm, when it initially happened and they gave it to a free kick against us. They were saying, oh, well, he didn't mean it. And was it a sending off of it? It was absolutely dreadful. It was an awful. And it was very early on. And I would say, yes, it's going to affect the game playing, 80 minutes with 10 men. But I feel that Newcastle would have won anyway, because we are the team in form. They are the team out of form. They'd taken 1 point out of 21. They'd taken while we weren't beaten. So I think that, yes, it influences the outcome of the game, but I think Newcastle would have won anyway, and they can't hide behind the fact they got a guy sent off. From their point of view, thinking, oh, well, unlucky, we got a guy sent off. They would have lost anyway. I think Newcastle were just the better team, full point.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, John. I really couldn't.
Some good performances. I mean, it was a team performance, Mal. And I think, again, last week, critical of Kraft. This week, part of a successful team. And he for me, I was down there. I watched him. He stood out. He had a really good, comprehensive game. And again, good man management from Eddie Howe, who, doesn't listen to what others are saying, gets on with a job. If he sees an issue, he corrects it. And, I thought it was just a great team performance. That's the key.
Sure. I couldn't agree more. There is now, it's starting to become quite glaring for me, one particular weakness, and really Wood just isn't doing it at all up front. And I think it's becoming quite worrying. He had an absolute glorious opportunity when it was still 0-0. And he just completely wasted it. He was in the 6-yard box, for heaven's sake. If you didn't know that he had come from another Premiership club, you would never think that you would have, or rather, you would think that he would come from a lower league up. He just doesn't look as if he's got anything Premiership about him at all.
Joe Linton showed him how to head the ball.
Nerves. Well, absolutely. Oh, didn't he just?
Yeah.
Didn't he just? And and these are the wonders of Eddie Howe and all that he's doing on the training ground and in the dressing room. Because Joe Linton, when he went into the penalty area in powder puff fashion, because he was nervy and what have you. But now he's going in and he's like a towering giant, and
Steve,
wanting to knock people all over the place, and it's great to watch. It's fabulous.
It's what I find amazing and I love. It's now a love-in between you lot, Steve, stuck in the corner, and Joe Linton. I mean, he ran the length of Northumberland Street to go and see you after he scored, which I felt was terrific, because I've been totally won over by the guy. He took an awful lot of flack, which was not his fault when he was played. It wasn't his fault we paid 40 million, and it wasn't his fault that we decided he was a number 9 legend, which he definitely was not. But yet he kept his head up, he kept going, he wanted to be a success, and he's become a success. And the thing with the fans, running all that length when he scored, I thought he'd done an Adebayor. Can you remember him when he played for Arsenal and ran half the length of the pitch? That was to annoy the other lot, of course. But I mean, when he did that, and then at the end of the game, when again he goes across to applaud you lads, Steve, that have made the long trip, he's the one that stays there. I think he forgot that he should go back in the dressing room and have a shower like everybody else was in the dressing room, and he was still standing there in a trance, which was absolutely lovely. I think he's done a terrific amount to win over Newcastle fans, and I think a few others have. I think that Fraser has. I think that Shaw has. And I would like to think, therefore, I would like to think, I don't necessarily think, but I would like to think that the final lot of lads, say Kraft and Wood, might do that as well, given time and win over fans, having had a rough start. I don't know that it's going to happen particularly, but as long as Wood plays in a side that is not losing, the fans won't turn on him, because he is playing in a side which consistently is not losing. And we've got to hope that when Wilson comes back and gives him some physical support at his shoulder, although how do you then change the system, which is interesting, if you're going to play 2 up top, who drops out from the current lot to make way? I mean, if Wilson replaces Wood, then it's simple. We continue the way we are. If he doesn't, it's interesting as to who goes out to keep Wood in, who goes out the side. Because at the moment, you can argue that if it was right now and Wilson was fit for this Saturday against Brighton, no one else deserves to go out the side. You can make a case for everybody inside staying in the side. You know,
yes, absolutely.
We've got a big set of fixtures coming up, and I think it's like that conundrum with Bruno, isn't it? That you know we saw him. We had half an hour, fantastic half an hour as well. It was. I mean, the guy oozes class. The statistic which we've talked about on this show this week already is that he had as many touches in the game as all but 2 of the players for Brentford who'd been on the pitch for 90 minutes. That tells you the guy wants the ball. And I mentioned this to the people I was with on the day. He wants the ball. He's showing for the ball. It's just a hell of a difference. And that's why, Shelby started to progress, because Shelby's always been wanting to hit a World Cup ball and then it comes straight back. Well, now we've got players, Trippier, Target, Bruno, who can trap a ball, hold a ball up, take it on the instep and move on. And they're looking for the ball. They want the ball. It's a big difference. It's not a hot potato, which is what it's been like for, the best part of Steve Bruce's era, shall we say. People didn't want the ball. They didn't want to be the one that made the mistake. Or if they got the ball, pass it on as quick. And we've got quality in the team at last.
The funny thing is, Steve, if it was, say, up to your good self this weekend, for all what Bruno's cost, for all we know that he is absolute quality, and we know that, and we know he is, it's difficult to start him right now, isn't it?
You can't do it, and I'm sure we'll come to this at the end. You can't put St. Maximin straight back in because because what Eddie Howe is doing is he is simply telling people in that dressing room, and look, Malcolm's managed at a professional level. I managed at an amateur level for 20 years. It's the same job. You just get paid differently, and it's a harder task in the level Malcolm managed in. But you tell the players, play well, you keep the shirt. And as long as you've got people breathing down their neck, then it's up to them to continue to play well. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it is at most clubs. You have backup in all positions, Malcolm, don't you? It's not a hard thing to do, manage a club and manage a team.
No, absolutely. And one thing that did surprise me with seeing Bruno on the pitch for longer than we've seen him, I didn't realise that he was happiest playing deep and playing so deep that
he is a defensive midfielder.
Sorry?
He's a defensive midfielder, Malcolm.
Yes, and that's
a good passer.
And it's going, and I think that the situation is that it's him or Shelvey, whereas I thought that Shelvey would be quite safe and that Bruno would play further upfield. That's not the case, and they seem to me to be vying for the same sort of possession ground, as it were.
The interesting thing on what you were saying, Steve, about Howie's philosophy, which is to be admired, of, if you're in the team and you're doing well, you stay in the team. The interesting thing is, against Brighton this weekend, Newcastle could have a bench that includes the £40 million Brazilian international Bruno, the club captain Lascelles, and their top inventor in the forward line, St. Maximin. Now, who would have thought your skipper, your biggest signing, and your supposed genius would be fit but wouldn't get back in the side, and all three would be on the bench? That's a sign of the times, isn't it? A good sign of the times, but a sign of the times.
Yeah, but isn't it just, that we were trying to find players to fill the holes, weren't we? Now they're overloaded. Great stuff.
It was square pegs and round holes at the start of the season. Now it's certainly, the correct shapes and the correct holes, and it's doing it's great. And we've got Brighton at home, which we'll come to at the end of the show, which hopefully will continue in the same vein. I've got to put this up because I will forget. I've got a tendency to forget. But Tell Ross sent us this on Twitter. Tell regularly watches the show. He says, Steve, I just wondered for you, when you do the Supermac and Gibbo show, if Gibbo remembers who this great team from the late 40s was. My granddad was chairman, Stanley Ross. They had a great season, beating NUFC in the Northumberland Senior Cup final.
Quite. That's true. By the way, I object to me remembering the 40s. Can I do that straight from the start?
It's Hexham Hearts AFC.
When I first went into journalism as a little lad, when I applied from school to every weekly newspaper in Northumberland and Durham to see if they would give me a job, none of them bothered even replying, apart from one paper, the Hexham Courant. And I went up to have an interview with the Hexham Courant, and I sat in the Hexham Abbey. It might have been praying for the job, because if I didn't get that, I was on a fruit and veg stall on a Saturday morning. But I waited, went in, got the Hexham Courant job, and the whole history of local football up there was Hexham Hearts. The great side was Hexham Hearts, and the history, and I got to know it well being on the Courant, and I was going over to watch and report on Hexham. The first match I ever reported on was Hexham GPO playing on the Seal on a Saturday morning at Hexham. It was 5-3. I had all week to write my report before they appeared the following Friday in the Courant. I spent all week writing it. My mother framed it and put it on the top of a china cabinet. And when I was working in Fleet Street, she still had the report from the Hexham Courant on top of a china cabinet. I'd written 2 books and was working Fleet Street. And I said, Mother, there's not any chance you'll take that down and put a bigger article up there. But Hexham Hearts, to me, was a great history, and it's a great sadness that they don't exist anymore. They were absolutely huge and got a great history. So that was a terrific pick. But I would like to say that in the 40s, and this will stagger some people, I wasn't capable of writing in anything but a pencil with short grey trousers on.
Which you got from Malcolm's shop.
Yes. We're not getting back to that again, are we?
Well, you never know. You never know. There's always somebody watching who likes to come back to the past. L. Stapleton says, what do you think of Brentford boss's response? Why did he not condemn it as a career-threatening tackle? Just getting back to that tackle. Yeah, I mean, look, managers are thrust in front of the camera, Mal, at the end of a game. Sometimes they're not thinking straight. I always feel, on reflection, some incidents will get missed. The one, maybe he's got a chance to see a replay. You only see it first time sometimes. He would have been annoyed that the man had been sent off. It puts them down to 10 men. They lost the game, and they're getting dragged into the relegation battle. That's going to affect what he says at the end of it. With reflection, I think he'd probably agree that it was a sending off.
Yes, but I'm not so sure that that people realised, even pros such as the Brentford manager, just what a diabolical tackle it was. It was so dangerous, fortunately, it didn't cause too much damage. When you're on the sideline, you sort of you see what your players do in a sort of quite different light to how you see what the opposing players are doing, and so you watch your own players with forgiveness rather than criticism. But as soon as I witnessed that tackle, before the left back went down, I actually said, that's a broken leg. And I was with a few other people, and they went, no, but the referee's given Brentford the free kick. I said, I don't care. That was a leg breaker. And so I suppose it's the angle from which you see it, because the referee obviously completely missed it, didn't realise what it was. Other people were saying, oh, he didn't mean it. Oh, yes, he did. Yes, he did. You don't go through with your leg like that, way over the ball. Oh, dear me, he got higher than Jimmy Smith did.
And that's saying something, Malcolm.
That is saying something, yes.
Jasmine just asks, who was the best and most genuine two-footed player that you played with, Malcolm?
Two-footed. Bobby Moore, Johnny Haynes. So there's 2 England captains for you. Johnny Haynes, he was my boyhood hero, but when I was 18, I went in the Fulham side, and Hainesy was the captain of the side. He was well into his 30s. I never fully knew whether he was actually stronger with his right or his left foot. They were so equally strong. He could just ping 40, 50, 60-yard passes with either foot. And he was just so wonderfully balanced. Moro was more right-footed, but nevertheless he could use his left when it was necessary. But yeah, Johnny Haynes probably is the best two-footed player that I've seen.
I mean,
Bobby Charlton could ping it with his right foot, couldn't he? Which which
The
wasn't
interesting
just
thing,
standing up.
a good friend of ours, Malcolm, the interesting thing, and I used to have a bit of fun with him. I used to say Vic Keeble was is good with either foot because he couldn't play with neither of them. He just played with his head. So
Yeah.
he was equally inept with either of his feet, but he made up for it in the air. I mean, he's the only
Didn't he
bloke I
just?
know that the ball would be played to him knee high or below, and he would dive full length to head it.
Yes.
When the ball was only knee high.
Right. And as a 6-year-old kid on the Fulham terraces,
That's right.
Vic Keeble scored the winning goal in the FA Cup third round replay with a near post diving header from a Jackie Milburn cross.
In the 55 Cup final, when Newcastle scored the quickest goal, 45 seconds, that lasted for donkey's years until the 1990s, I think. But they scored the quickest goal in 45 seconds. Jackie Milburn, who had been dropped by the manager in Stan Seymour, looked at the team sheet, ripped it up, threw it in the basket, sacked the manager later on after the final, and just picked his own team. That's something for a chairman, isn't it? Picked his own team with Jackie in it. He said, we don't play at Wembley without Jackie Milburn. Jackie Milburn, who was supposed to be poor in the air, scored in 45 seconds with a header from a Len White corner. And the reason why, and he got up like a salmon because he was unchallenged. And boom, headed it in the corner. And the reason why is that Man City put about 16 blokes on Vic Keeble because he was so good in the air. They were all gathered round Vic Keeble, and Jackie standing on his own just goes, thank you very much. And it went. He used to say that he had sciatica in his neck, and the reason he used to fervently say, I wasn't rubbish in the air. I could head the ball, but I had sciatica in the neck. And if somebody went up with us, I was struggling. So that when he went up on his own, he stuck it in. But it was Vic Keeble that made that goal for Jackie, just because if it was on the ground, forget Vic. He was nicknamed the Camel because he sort of like a camel, but he was terrific in the air. But happy days. But Joe Linton reminded me of the best of the centre-forward goal-scoring headers down there, and good on him. And by the way, fellas, our friend who just had forgot how to score goals, Joe Willock's now got 2 and 2. He's not going to go off on a run like he did last season, is he? Please.
Nice little piece about Eddie Howe and how he handled the situation, because we always felt that there was something wrong with Willock. We didn't know what it was, but to hear that, that he was homesick, that the decision had been made when he signed for Newcastle to give him a place out in Northumberland and isolate him from the city centre. By the previous management and owners, and it backfired a little bit because they didn't want him to be lured in by the bright lights of Newcastle's quayside and big market, I think, by the sounds of it. But it's completely backfired. He's a young lad. He's left home. He's away from his parents and family and friends, and he's ended up being lonely, and he didn't know what to do and didn't know who to speak to. And Eddie Howe, by all accounts, when he came into the club, the first thing he did was he had individual meetings with every player. He didn't speak to them as a collective. At first, he got them all in individually, spoke to them about their circumstances, their situations, their relationships, their family life, got a good understanding of who they were and what they were hoping to achieve, not only in their career, but at Newcastle United. And, just getting a good background on each player, doing his homework. That's probably why he was doing 18, 19-hour days. And obviously what he's found out with Willock, he's reacted to. He's brought him into the fold. And we're now seeing the results on the pitch.
Yeah, if you're going to be a successful manager.
The last person Newcastle did that with, sending them out to the sticks to keep them away from the bright lights of the quayside, was Andy Cole when they signed him. And they sent him to Crook, and he lived in Crook. And I think Lee Clark had to go and get him. He couldn't find his way out of Crook to St. James's Park, and Lee Clark had to go and get him and bring him into training. But that didn't work. That didn't work either. I mean, there's this obsession where they tried. I think they tried to do that with Keith Gillespie. but he didn't need to be kept away from the quayside. He needed to be kept away from the phone, from phoning the bookies and putting his bets on all afternoon, which is how he ran up all he owed 70 grand or something in KK to get the club to wipe it all out. But it wasn't the quayside that was going to be Keith's undoing. It was the telephone to the local local bookies that was Keith's undoing. And he talks about it funnily now. It's part of the past, but it's part of folklore with NUFC. But yeah, it has worked with Willock, and it would be nice. I was saying tongue in cheek, he's going to go 7 goals in 7 games, or 8 and 8. Of course he isn't. But if he starts scoring regularly again, what a bonus that's going to be to us.
Yeah, isn't it just? Absolutely.
And he is looking a threat again.
Undroppable midfield at the moment. Quick one before I do the ads. George Bainbridge says, I'll open this up to both of you. Have either of you ever seen Gordon Lee since he left Newcastle?
Yes. Once only, actually. And I was at the time managing Fulham, and our reserves were playing at Leicester, and I had somebody in the reserve side on trial who I wanted to have a good look at. And so I went up there and walked in through the players' entrance, and 2 or 3 yards inside the hallway was Gordon Lee, and he was the junior coach of Leicester City. David Pleat was the manager, and Gordon Lee he just looked at me, and I looked at him and walked past. I had more important things to do, and we never exchanged a word at all.
Yeah. And what about you, Gibbo? Have you come across Gordon?
Yeah, I think just about once, with the same sort of reaction. I was tarred with the same brush, of course, because A, Malcolm was a friend of mine, and B, I thought he was a centre forward that would score the odd goal for us if he was in the side. So I think that annoyed Gordon somewhat. And he sort of tried to be as friendly as you could be when you're gritting your teeth together, which is very difficult. But yeah, I mean, the unforgivable thing for me with Gordon Lee is that if you are going to get rid of your greatest goal maker, Terry Hibbert, and your greatest goal taker, Supermac, you've got to stick round and prove yourself right. To then take to your toes and go to Everton, having left us without our 2 major assets, I found as a Newcastle fan absolutely unforgivable. Of course, he went there and he did the same thing there. He looked at the centre forward who we thought was a big time Charlie, Duncan McKenzie, and got rid of him. He doesn't like stars, whether he just doesn't like stars. We love stars at Newcastle United and still do now. Alan Shearer, we love stars. He didn't like stars, which didn't make him a Newcastle United manager for me. But there we are. That's part of the past.
John, he accused me of grabbing too many headlines.
Oh, absolutely.
And I said, but newspapers give you a headline because you score goals.
I was going to say, if you scored a hat trick, Malcolm, the odds are that I was going to mention it at the top of the story rather than say what a lovely lad Jeff Nulty was, who was his boy. I always remember, just very quickly, going down to an after-match interview at Stoke. We had played at Stoke, and there was a lot of national reporters in, and he kept saying, my centre forward should be in the England team, he's terrific and all that. And it suddenly dawns on me that he's actually talking about Alan Gowling, not Malcolm MacDonald. But all the other reporters thought he was talking about Malcolm MacDonald. And it was only right at the end of the conversation when he said, anyway, I thought Alan had a terrific game today. Everybody went, Alan? Who's Alan like? What? Was this a terrific game? He was talking about Gowling, he wasn't talking about MacDonald. But hey, those days have gone, and now we're on the launching pad. Somebody's got the little lighter, and they're just about to go to the torch, the little piece of blue paper, light it, and off we go.
Okay, time to do the ads. Big shout out to Spider VPN for all your internet security. Google Spider VPN. They come up at the top of the search list. They are the boys to trust to protect your computer. Shout out to skipsandbins.com. Telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy, contract free, and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks also to L&G Family Funeral Directors 01913897245 and to Garden of Healing Dispensary CBD Hemp and Cannabinoid Specialists. Find them at www.thegohd.com. Thanks to Arcot Interiors, who can be found at the Heaton Road, and you can also Google them. They come up at the top of the search list as well for all your kitchen necessities. Thanks to qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle. Also the guys who run our website. Thanks also to Clee Kai. Meet the new game over screen. Drop into a Clee Run device near you. You can find them on Apple Store, Google Play, and at clearun.com. Game, there he is, a nice looking kid, and big thanks to Jab Signature as well. Media Arts, thank you for all your help with the video side of things, and if you want to subscribe to the channel, then click on the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right hand corner and click subscribe. Hit the thumbs up to like the video, click share to your social media, and drop into the comments box to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans. You can also click the button clip now, and you can clip parts of the show that you like and share it to your YouTube account. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes and on Spotify and other podcast providers. Usually goes up an hour after the show. If you want to join the cult, put your phone over the QR code, takes you straight to the website, NUFCmatters.com. We've got some great T-shirts on there and other merchandise. But if you join the cult, you get a cup, a pen, a scarf, and your membership card, and you go into the membership draw. Talking of T-shirts, the Everton game is looming, and John has designed these lovely, he's only got little arms T-shirts, which you can wear in the away end. And you can get them at NUFCmatters.com. We like a bit of banter with that England's goalkeeper, don't we? The Dog and Parrot is where you'll find myself and Malcolm this coming Saturday at 1 o'clock, pre-match talking. And after the match, we'll be there in and around 5:30, 5:45, depending on when Malcolm gets back from the game. But yeah, looking forward to another afternoon at the Dog and Parrot. Kids are welcome. They do nice food, good beer, and there's a pool table and good music as well. The food bank will be outside St James's Park, of course, this weekend. We support it online. NUFC fans, foodbank.co.uk is the matchday bucket. You can go there 365 days of the year, and you can make a donation. So get yourself onto there. If you've got some spare change in your account, then drop it in. Some events coming up, and we will be doing NUFC Matters live at the Marlborough Social Club. So if you want to come and meet Malcolm and Gibbo and Holly, who does Monday nights, we will be at the Marlborough Social Club on Saturday, the 9th of April. Now, Newcastle's game's been moved to the Friday. So there's a free Saturday afternoon, 12 o'clock, just a couple of hours. Come along, give us some support. Tickets are a tenner. You can get them from newcastlelegends.com. Come along and see us. I think Gibbo will be giving us a whirl in the Chronicle next week. So if you do forget, you can find out in John's column. Make sure you buy the Chronicle to see that. But yeah, we're going to be a good afternoon. We're just going to do an NUFC Matters live at the night, and it's 9th of April, Saturday the 9th of April, the Marlborough Social Club, newcastlelegends.com for the tickets. Don't forget as well, I'm doing a fire walk. You can support me if you want to come down and give us some support. £35 to enter. It's all for the Bradley Lowry Foundation. www.wrfirewalk.co.uk. And if you want to join my team, enter the code NUFCM, and that's it. Simple way to join. So should be a good day out. That I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully we will break the world record. Okay, back to the comments section, and lots of comments coming in. I'll try to get to the ones we're asking questions. Keith says, Malcolm, what was your best time at Newcastle? What sticks out the most apart from the big market? Says Keith Moore.
What sticks out most? I think arriving first off. That it was a it really was a wonderful time, getting to know everybody, getting to know the club, and all the players and what have you. And there is nothing like a Saturday afternoon at St James Park. There really isn't. It's a unique experience, and it's there for all to share. But there is nothing like being out on the pitch, and particularly getting a win. So and of course scoring a goal. It's something that just it rolls on. You know, if you do it right, you know, it worked for me. Chris Wood is finding real problems. You know but once he clicks, once he just knocks one over the line between the posts, then it will all start to come right for him. But it's getting that first one in the bag. So also, I suppose what I used to really enjoy was doing talk-ins and stuff like that. You know, going to social clubs, you know, and just actually talking with supporters. And there is such a fervour of great interest in Newcastle United, in the players. You know, it's something that I've never quite experienced anywhere else in the country. There really is there's a real magic quality around Newcastle United because of the people.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And yeah, Stu mentioned the interview in The Athletic with Amanda and Mirdad, John. It was good to read some more quotes and comments from them, and hear what they had to say. Anything stand out for you in that interview?
Well, I think for me, it's a positivity of the way Newcastle are now. It's a realization that the most important people in a football club are the 50,000 that come and watch you religiously, the 3,000 that go down to Brentford or go to the next away game, etc., etc. And Newcastle now have got a huge number of away games coming up on the bounce, with the Crystal Palace match now off because they're playing in the quarterfinals of the cup. So after we play Brighton, we've got a lot of away games. We will sell out we were doing that, as you know only too well, Steve, because you were one of them. We're doing that when we weren't getting results away from home. The first 5 months of the season, we didn't get a win. We're now not losing away from home since Leeds and West Ham and Brentford. But it's the positivity. They have done the homework very, very well. They realised that one of the many things that was wrong with Ashley is that in 14 years he never communicated regularly with the fans. He had nothing to say whatsoever. I found it incredible, because it was like, shutting your door on your customers. If you want to shop, in the customer that comes in to buy something, you don't say, "Hey, wait a minute, what are you doing looking at that stuff over there? If you're not going to buy something quick, get out and shop." You don't treat customers like that. And yet Newcastle, with Ashley, did. And this is not happening here. There's an awful lot of criticism away from Tyneside, because they just do not want Newcastle to be successful. A lot of people. They liked it when we were what we were, the greatest supporters of failure in the country. They loved that, and that was our place. Now, when we might be successful, they don't like us. We're starting to get the decisions right. They're coming. We've got the right manager. We're going to have the right director of football, because it's all done and dusted, just waiting for when he can come in after gardening leave, or when we do a deal with Brighton, and they may try to do that this weekend. We've got the right signings in the main in January, and they'll be followed by an awful lot in the summer. We're going to escape from the relegation situation. Everything is heading in the right direction. Now, a lot of people, whether they're Paul Merson, whether they're Bonneau, whoever they are, do not like that. they do not like. For some reason, whether it's because of the love they had for Steve Bruce, so we've got to get smacked because of what we did to Steve Bruce. By the way, we did nothing. It's what he did to us, not the other way on. But there is a lot of anti-Newcastle feeling out there. And you know what? We couldn't give a monkeys. Because if we get it right and we start winning things, we're going to be dreadfully upset at those people out there having a snipe at us, aren't we? I don't think we're going to care.
Yeah, there does seem to be an agenda, Malcolm. We've said this before, and it's the same old faces, though, isn't it? It's the same old people having a pop. It gets boring, monotonous.
Yeah. Oh, doesn't it just? Yeah. And the one thing that people really don't like is great wealth. And there's great wealth now behind Newcastle. So it's strengthened all that you were saying, John, about how Newcastle United is perceived. That people see it differently because it's Newcastle. When there was the takeover of Manchester United, and they were shelling out massive, great fortunes buying players in. Everybody just accepted it. Oh, well, that's Manchester United, But they don't accept it with Newcastle United, do they?
The funny thing is, just thinking off the top of your head, all of these so-called big-name punters, ex-players and whatever, they like lauding Burnley and saying, hasn't Dyche done a good job? And he has. But hasn't he done a good job? And isn't little Burnley wonderful and all that? That is because little Burnley know their place and regularly fight against relegation and manage to survive. And therefore, it's good old Burnley. But the minute somebody comes along going against a few quid like we have done, all of a sudden that's a problem. The funny thing is that it was never a problem as far as I can remember. When Abramovich come into Chelsea and Chelsea took off and they won 21 trophies over him, people didn't seem to go anti-Chelsea. When the guys come in and turned Manchester City in from being the second best team in Manchester to what they are now, people didn't seem to get offended. But they do seem to get offended if it's Newcastle United.
If it's Newcastle United. And there is no other club that I can think of in the Premiership, well, in fact, in the whole of the Football League, that is that way treated as Newcastle United are. It's
very weird.
Just them, doesn't it?
It's very, very weird. And I think we've earned our little moment in the sun. When you trot out those figures, 27 since 1927 since won the championship, 55 since won a domestic cup, and 69 since we won any cup, and we still have 50,000 going in. There's a generation of Newcastle fans that have never seen Newcastle United actually win something. Do they not deserve to see Newcastle win something as a reward for the loyalty shown? I would have thought so, but the rest of the country don't seem to think so. But as I've said, we don't mind a jot. We've been the most as a failure for so long that when we're going to have our success, if other people don't like it, well, that's their problem, not ours.
Sure. And it's long overdue. The supporters deserve to get a taste of success.
Absolutely.
Ian McKenna says it's a bit odd because we were always everyone's favourite second team in the 90s. As soon as we have a chance, they all hate us, which is very true. Tom Dixon, thanks for that, mate. Ryan Fraser's been nominated for the Premier League's Player of the Month award for February. Eddie Howe has to be in the running for Manager of the Month. In fact, it should be a landslide victory, shouldn't it really, lads?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely should. And I mean, you could go and say, Player of the Month for February. Well, Ryan Fraser could win it, and Joe Linton could be second, and any Newcastle player could be third. That is the transition we've had, which is quite staggering. And I more or less accept that the new people who brought in January would have a big impact. I.e., you're not surprised by Trippier, you're not surprised by Target, you're not surprised by Dan Burn, But you are surprised by Fraser. You are surprised by Joe Linton. You are surprised by Willock scoring again and by Shelby looking consistently a good player, by Shaw never making mistakes anymore. And while, by the way, and I was thinking of this the other day, guys, when we pay compliments to Eddie Howe for what he's done, bringing those guys who were very average to poor and are now outstanding because of the commitment he's and the confidence he's instilled in them, let us also remember to pay tribute to them individually, to Joe Linton, to Fraser, to Shaw, because they've helped themselves as well as Howe helping them. They have helped themselves to become being players that we sort of turned our nose up to being absolutely quality Premier League players. So they deserve some credit as well as Howe. And I think in the main, all the credit's been given to Eddie, and I can follow that. And I think it's been massive what he's done. But let us give individually credit to Joe Linton himself, credit to Fraser himself. They've done it as well in conjunction with the manager.
Yeah, but I think that what we have, John, is in Eddie Howe, we've got a really good psychologist. And as you mentioned, that he sat down with each individual player and got to know the character and the personality of that one player on a separate basis to everybody else, and did that with everybody. And one-on-ones are so important in football, and quite often it doesn't happen. It certainly wouldn't have happened under Steve Bruce. You know, he
absolutely
couldn't find the time to take a training session, never mind sit down and work psychologically with players. Eddie Howe he's a master of it. He's proving that, I think.
Well, I think Eddie Howe has made the huge difference, and it shows, and he is rightly getting massive plaudits.
Yes,
and because of the way he's brought us on from what we had before under Steve Bruce. It's just that I would also, in fairness, like to say, I mean, we used to say it's Joe Linton's fault he's a hopeless centre forward because of that now. And now he's a very good midfielder. It's Eddie Howe's credit. And it is, but let's also say it's Joe Linton's credit as well, that he's what he's been told and has grown in confidence and has committed himself. It can't be his fault when he's poor and somebody else's credit when he's good. He's got to get a little bit of the credit for himself. And I feel that about a few of them. Shaw looks a different player to what he was. The three midfielders, who would have ever thought we would buy a £40 million current Brazilian international and he can't get a start for the three midfielders that were all there and playing under Steve Bruce? Who would have, we would have thought that Bruno could get in for any one of those three anytime he wanted, and they're playing so well he can't. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. But let's give credit as well to Joe Linton, to Shelby, and to Willock, as well as to Eddie Howe, who deserves a huge amount of credit.
Yeah, and I noticed that that it was mentioned that Fraser will get the Player of the Month. Great. When you think that prior to Christmas, nobody could take him seriously, I don't think.
Well, he's in line for it anyway. He's been put forward for it. He hasn't won it yet. But I think it's
absolutely great. But I think that he is the epitome of turnaround.
Yes.
Newcastle I've got to think, when I see the work that he does now in the scurrying, and he's like the Duracell bunny. He's been wound up before the game, and he just runs. And I'm convinced that last season he was probably 6'4", but we couldn't see him. And he's just become 5'4" with all the work he's done. He's literally put himself into the ground. He's been terrific, and his reputation was on the slide. People were suspicious of his attitude at Newcastle last season.
Yeah.
Steve Clark decided and was furious with him with Scotland. Was his body language wrong? Was he not making himself available? Things were going wrong for Ryan. And at the moment, things are going very right. And he deserves his nomination for this award. And I never thought when I saw him last season, I would be paying tribute this season to Ryan Fraser because he didn't look capable of that.
Sure,
And
John, I feel exactly the same on that.
Yeah.
But he's one of the many that under this new regime has got a new lease of life. I think both Eddie Howe ability to make you feel wanted, to tweak your game a little bit, and this quality that's been brought in to play around them, like Trippier and Target and Byrne and Bruno to come, has lifted them as well. You know, they either come up to the level of the players that's come in, or they get left behind. And it's been good to see. It's been good to see. We've got to continue it on Saturday, of course.
We
Yes,
have we've got 10 minutes left. I'm going to ask this one before we look ahead to the Brighton game. Blue Moon Boy says, question for Supermac, which memorabilia or what memorabilia have you kept for yourself from your time at Newcastle? Now, I know you sold a bit of it, Mal, didn't you? Because
I did, yeah, because it was just up in the loft and collecting dust, basically. I'm not a memorabilia type person. All my memorabilia is in there. You know, I've got great memories, and they're more important than a shirt or whatever. And so you know, and also in the people that I've had the great luxury of meeting, becoming friends with, and what have you. You know, it's a very rich way of life, and having played for Newcastle, so that's my memorabilia, all in my head, and I'm not an objects person, but I do like to feel the warmth of it all.
Okay, there you go. Newcastle United face Brighton this coming Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff, the old-fashioned way, which we all enjoy. And there is no live TV transmission. The game will not be on television. You'll be able to catch up on Sky, of course, and on Match of the Day. Brighton have won 2 and drawn the other 2 of their 4 visits to St James's Park in the Premier League. And Newcastle have failed to register a single goal as yet. Of course, after victories over Everton and Aston Villa, Newcastle go looking for a 3rd successive home Premier League win, which was last achieved under Rafa Benitez's reign in the 2018-2019 campaign. As for injuries, Callum Wilson and Kieran Trippier remain on the sidelines. It's yet to be revealed whether ASM will return from injury after missing the last 2 games. Brighton and Hove Albion, Adam Webster isn't expected to feature. He is recovering from a groin strain. Adam Lallana may return to the squad. As for form, Graham Potter's side suffered their 3rd successive Premier League defeat without scoring after losing 2-0 to Aston Villa on Saturday. On the road this season, Brighton have been a tough nut to crack, beaten just twice. Once at Aston Villa and the other game at Manchester United. They have amassed a league-high total of 7 away wins. Victories were registered on the road at Burnley, Brentford, Everton and Watford, who were, of course, all down at the bottom with Newcastle United. Brighton have confirmed that they will wear the yellow and blue 3rd kit on Saturday, which is publicising a scheme donating profits from the sale of them to the British Red Cross Ukraine Crisis Appeal. As for the referee, Martin Atkinson, the West Yorkshire referee, he is back on Tyneside for the 3rd time this season. He was, of course, in the middle for the 2-4 loss to West Ham and the 4-0 defeat by Man City, hoping to break his duck and get Newcastle a win. And on VAR, which is often switched on for Newcastle's games these days, is Lee Mason, which is good to see. So, Newcastle United, looking for another result, Malcolm. What's your views?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't think that Brighton are looking forward to this at all, because they've not only lost their last 3, but have failed to notch a goal. And so I think it bodes well Newcastle, who, dear me, can you remember seeing so much confidence oozing out of all the players? It hasn't been like that for a very long time, and you know that they're going to perform with the mood that everybody's in, the mood of within the club, and what I really would like to see, and it's just starting to happen, where Newcastle actually are able to knock in that all important second goal, and even I'd like to see that increased against Brighton, maybe, that it was all so tight. Whenever Newcastle got a goal up, you knew that was it, that was it. They weren't going to score anymore, and so now it's all starting to go the other way, and I would think that Brighton will be travelling up here, not looking forward to this experience one iota, and Newcastle have got to take advantage of that.
Would you play ASM, Mal?
No.
Okay, no. Simple as that. John,
no, and having asked me the question, I will just explain. I think that he has got to learn how to be a team player. That he just wants to go on mazy runs all the while. He's got to change his game. Just bringing different aspects into it rather than doing the same thing all of the time. No good, because it's too easy for defenders. They see you do it once and then you do it again, and they say, well, that's all he does. And so they all defenders did. And I shall never forget Norwich, for heaven's sake. Norwich up here, and all they did was put 7 players just outside of their penalty area, and St. Maximin was running from one wing to the other, and then he'd go back again, and never look to take these guys on, and so he needs to bring other aspects into his game to become a really good top level player. And he's got all the ability. He has it all. But what happens when he goes on these runs is I see other players time and again, they just stop and they go, oh, well, there's no point in joining in, because he won't let you. It's all got to be such an individual thing. No, I wouldn't play him. I want to see his game become more expansive, and then I think he'd be a real key figure in the side. But he's not doing it enough at the moment.
Okay, John, same question to you. How do you see this going on at the weekend? And ASM, would you start him?
No, I wouldn't start him. Because I think the pattern has been set by Eddie, and it's been honest and straightforward. You do not get back into this team automatically if the team is doing well. Bruno has had to wait 4 games so far and hasn't had a start. He's been on the bench. The skipper has been on the bench. Lascelles coming back after injury, doesn't start, so I don't think he will probably start with St. Maximin. I think he'll be on the bench as well, and you can understand that. Brighton, have been a jinx to us, and I want that jinx put to bed this Saturday. Not only have they not lost in the 4 games they've played up here in the Premier League, 2 wins and 2 draws, but I think in 11 games in the Premier League between us and them, we haven't won one. Not only have we not won one of our 4 up here, but we haven't won. Last season, if you remember, guys, we lost 3-0 up here and 3-0 down there. Yeah. We owe them one big time in this.
Yes, we do.
This is a different setup to the setup that was last season. Now, this is all about the Jody Jai on loan Target, and about the new midfield, etc., about Bruno waiting to come out. The Brighton have hit a bad spell. I mean, to see them lose to Burnley and Villa because they average that. Okay, they lost to Man United as well. That can happen. But to lose to Burnley and Villa when people have been touting this Brighton side so much, it's going to be interesting. But for me, and this is an interesting one, guys, and we've got this far without actually mentioning it too much, this is Dan Burns' match. This is Dan Burns' match because...
Would you give him the captaincy, John?
Well, he's playing. He's a kid that came out of Blythe. He had the tough... Newcastle rejected him when he was a schoolboy. He says... They were right. I outgrew myself strength-wise. I was this gangly string of spaghetti who couldn't play. He was a season ticket holder at Newcastle, loved Newcastle, had to do it the hard way. Darlington, Fulham, Brighton. Become the most unlikely star at Brighton. Has always kept his feet on the ground and done the basic things well. This is his match. This is his derby. His two clubs, Brighton and Newcastle.
Yes.
This is a massive, massive match for him. And if he has been part of the Burnley side that's been a thorn in our side, let him be part of our side that tucks up Brighton on Saturday because we need that and he would enjoy that. And there's three players I want to see anybody score goals for Newcastle. But how about Dan Burns scores because he's playing his old club? How about Chris Wood scores because we need him to score? And how about Joe Willock scores because it'll be 3-3 and he'll be off on one of these runs again? So I'm taking 3-1 and let them three score the goals.
Malcolm, your prediction?
I'm going to say Newcastle will keep a clean sheet again, but I would love them to get out there and score 3. So I'm going to take 3-0.
Great stuff as always, lads. Don't forget, get your tickets, newcastlelegends.com. Come and see me, Malcolm, Gibbo and Holly. Should be a great day on in April. Newcastlelegends.com for the tickets. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Indeed.
Take care, fellas.
Take care, everyone.